It's a 1-hour Newsmaker show. Today we have with us for the first half hour Hornell Mayor John Buckley. It'll be our regular guest, Dr. Nick Waddy, at 8:30. Mayor John Buckley, thank you for coming up.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for having me on today.
Wanted to make today's show about the Common Council meeting from Monday.
Yeah, so at our regular Common Council meeting that we had Monday, we had special guests at our meeting just to give updates to the council and to the community in regards to the coronavirus crisis that we find ourselves in. We had, first of all, we had to close City Hall, Brian. So we actually conducted the meeting in the third floor conference room as opposed to the regular courtroom or council chambers. The state courts have closed down, so we have to, we're not supposed to actually be in the courtroom right now, so we moved it upstairs. During the meeting, we had Brian O'Donovan, the CEO from St. James Mercy Hospital. He had called in, so we had a phone conference during the meeting to get updates. We had Dr. Izzy Meir call in as well, along with Dr. John Robshaw. So St. James gave us their updates, and and as it would have it, St. James is actually moving from the old structure to the new building, during this crisis, which occurred yesterday, and. Some of the things that Brian O'Donovan and the doctors went over were the transition of the hospitals, of course. One question that I had asked Brian O'Donovan is, what about the old hospital? If need be, could it still be utilized in some capacity, whether it was a wing or a floor? And the answer was yes. If not trying to spread fear or panic, but worst case scenario, if it were to come to that, the old hospital still could be utilized. They still have the beds. They've retained the monitors, so they still have the equipment. The staffing would have to, come from elsewhere, whether it's a state provided those people or not. But we do have the capacity, which is a good problem to have because, not too many communities have, a brand new hospital plus an old one that they could still utilize if need be.
That is very interesting. So that must have been a little bit of a last-minute change to the plans, I'm guessing, when the coronavirus popped up. Brian O'Donovan and the hospital officials thought, wait a second, maybe we should hold off on taking the beds down in the old hospital building. That's what it sounds like anyway.
No, you're correct. And according to Brian, during the meeting, he had stated that the beds were slated to be donated to, I think, another country, a third world country, but they put a hold on that until this crisis passes. Just in case, it's better to be ready for something. It's better to be prepared for something, and you don't know what you don't know. But St. James officials are doing their due diligence along with instruction from University of Rochester. So they're prepared. The new hospital is up and running. We transferred the last patients at about 11 o'clock yesterday morning, so they're up and running. The old hospital is closed down. The Hornell ambulance still is stationed outside of the old ER just in case someone shows up and they need to be transported to the new hospital. But some of the things that the doctors had touched base on, as far as protocols for the new hospital, there won't be any inpatient visits except for the only exceptions were pediatrics, hospice care, and special needs patients. So they're really trying to limit the number of people they're in the building. One of the messages that they try to convey to the public is, please don't overwhelm the hospital. Please don't come if you just have a cough, if you have just one symptom. They do actually have a hotline number if you think that you are experiencing suspected symptoms of this virus, and that number is 1-888-928-0011. Again, that is 1-888-928-0011. 0011, and that's a special number that UR Medicine has set up. So
Now, I'm sorry, John. What I understand from the meeting the other night from our reporter who was there has been testing at St. James, and I checked with the county health department, and as of yesterday, they were still saying the county health public nurse was saying no confirmed cases in Steuben County.
that is correct. They are testing. And no, there are not any confirmed cases in city of Hornell or Steuben County. There have been, as you reported, 2 cases in Allegheny County, but none yet here in Steuben County. So we're very fortunate so far. But the doctors really emphasized just trying to hunker down and stay home, and not being in crowds, and all the things that you've been talking about on the newscasts and all the other radio and talk shows have been talking about. So it's really trying to comply with those CDC recommendations, and trying to flatten the curve as everyone's been talking about, and just the real difference between this virus and some of the other viruses, and we talked about that in the meeting, because we've had a lot of people ask, oh, why is this different than SARS? Why is this different than swine flu, H1N1, or this whole litany of viruses that have that we've experienced over the last several years or decades. And the answer from Dr. Izimir and Dr. Robshaw was it's the spreadability. This particular coronavirus has the capacity to spread and is just so highly contagious, unlike some of the others, that's why these measures are coming down from the governor and other governors and the president throughout the nation and throughout our states and communities. It's just because of the spreadability, and it's able to just spread at an exponentially higher rate than those other viruses that I had mentioned. So I think that's why there's been such a rush to close down restaurants and public gatherings and sporting events and all of these things that we've been seeing throughout the community, state, and the country.
Talking to Hornell Mayor John Buckley this morning on the Newsmaker show. John, 3 parts to the meeting. The St. James part of the Common Council meeting from Monday night, the school part of it, and the city's response.
Yeah, so we also had Jeremy Pilati from the school district there, and obviously everyone knows the schools are shut down until April 13th. But April 13th is really kind of a moving target. I don't think there's really any real expectation of schools opening on April 13th. I think they're just going to reevaluate at that point. There is some talk about just canceling the school year altogether. We're not there yet. Everything is the situation is fluid, so there's a lot of things happening. So we'll just have to wait and see. But the school district's doing, they're doing everything that they can in the meantime, and they're offering Chromebooks to the students so they can work from home. I know a lot of the younger students. I have an 8-year-old who was sent home with a packet of work to do, just kind of particular to their grade. I think some of the older kids are more digitally savvy and can do things online. But one important aspect that I really wanted to mention is that the school district is going to continue to provide meals, lunches and breakfasts, for the children, and that'll be available to be picked up at each of the schools. And I know Superintendent Pilati had mentioned that they were working on some sort of delivery system for certain students as well. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the superintendent also said that the meals were going to be available for all those 18 and under. So, whether they were actually a registered student or not, they would still be eligible to receive those. So, these are strange times we live in, Brian. This is unlike anything that I've ever experienced. If you would have told me, a couple of years ago that this would be happening, I would have said you're probably crazy. But it's just weird, right?
Yes.
You walk around town. We have businesses that are closing, restaurants, bars,
grocery store shelves,
gyms. The rush on the grocery stores. Just this morning, I got a report that the parking lot at Wegmans was jam packed. It looks like a holiday up there. There's just such a rush.
The Christmas season shopping parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think it was the day before a major holiday, and it puts stress. It puts stress on the system, on the supply side, on the distribution system, the capacity to produce the product and get it out to market, and all these. There's a lot of stress being levied on all of these systems, and it takes time, and that's why you're seeing stores put limits on items. The run on toilet paper. People are having a hard time getting toilet paper, and I'll use myself as an example. I have a wife and 2 daughters, and usually I buy the family pack, and every couple of weeks I'll just go grab another one, and you can't do that. There are no family packs to be bought, and they're just non-existent. So, there's this panic that spreads, and all of a sudden people are trying to hoard all of these goods. So the stores have to put limits on them because they can't supply it quick enough. They can't get it to the stores, and when they are, people are hoarding it and taking it home. And it's just it's very unfortunate. I feel bad for the seniors. There's seniors out there that just they're unable to get to the store on a regular basis, and when they do, there's nothing left. And then they're really relying on friends and neighbors to look out for them, and I encourage that. If you do have grandparents or elderly that live in your neighborhood, look out for them. Give them a call, knock on their door, check on them. See what they need. Do they need some toilet paper? Do they need a loaf of bread? Do they need some milk and eggs to get by? And I do that in my neighborhood, and I encourage everyone else to do that as well.
Going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Hornell Mayor John Buckley on our 1-hour Newsmaker show in just a moment.
Worlds collide. During Ram Truck Month and the Jeep Celebration event all month at Maple City Dodge in Hornell. Buy a 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo as low as $31,499. Price includes lease loyalty and first responder rebate. Or lease a 2020 Ram Warlock V6. 10,000-mile lease, only $324 a month. Plus tax and fees. Price includes lease loyalty and first responder rebate. While supplies last, hurry to Maple City Dodge for a test drive. Maple City Dodge. Get the real deal every time.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-482-8399. 800-482-8399. That's 800-482-8399.
Selecting a nursing home for a loved one isn't easy until you've discovered Hornell Gardens Nursing and Rehabilitation. Hornell Gardens delivers the highest level of care, compassion, and commitment with amenities and activities that will enrich body, mind, and spirit. It's a place that's close to home. Stop in for a tour of Hornell Gardens, located at 434 Monroe Avenue in Hornell, or to learn more, call 585-222-CARE or visit hurlbutcare.com.
We're back on our 1 hour Newsmaker show with Hornell Mayor John Buckley. We've talked about the Hornell Common Council meeting from Monday night, which was about the COVID-19. So far, we've talked about St. James and the school. What about the city response? That was the third part to the meeting.
Yeah, so Brian, the city, obviously we followed suit with many other cities, towns, and villages, and our city hall doors are locked. So we're trying to reduce that, that face-to-face interaction the best we can. We are still open for business. The governor, through issuing or declaring a state of emergency and issuing a series of executive orders. One of the executive orders was that local governments have to reduce their staff by 50%. So that obviously applies to City Hall. It does not apply to essential services. Police and fire does not apply to. We will still have our folks manning the water filtration plant and the wastewater plant. So those essential services are not affected. City Hall, although, because that's the one department or the one building in the city where we do have typically a lot of foot traffic, we do have to close that down. Although, like I said, we're open for business. We're asking residents to utilize the night deposit box, which is located on the Seneca Street side of the building at City Hall. We're asking people to call City Hall to make appointments instead of coming in. If you have a concern or an issue, instead of coming in face to face, we're asking you to just call, and we'll put you through to either that department that you're looking for, codes, DPW, the city clerk, or myself. We're asking you to utilize email. Email us your concern or your question. Everyone at City Hall has their own email, and they can all be found on the city's website. So, again, we're trying to, encourage the social distancing and also it gives us a chance to sanitize City Hall. And, with the amount of foot traffic we have in that building, there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned. And especially in light of this virus, taking those extra precautions and really doing that deep cleaning and making sure everything is sanitized. Some of the other things that we're doing, and we had an emergency department heads meeting on Monday afternoon, is really enforcing, trying to get the police department and the fire department, making sure that we're cleaning down everything. In the fire department, it's normal anyway, but just reinforcing certain things, cleaning down the ambulances, the doorknobs and the railings, everything that you would touch, either in the station or in the vehicles themselves. Same with the police department. The hat system is still up and running. We're taking extra precautions there. The hat drivers are wiping or spraying down the seats and wiping them down. Again, the railings, the steering wheels, all the things that people would normally put their hands on and touch. So we're doing that deep clean of City Hall. One important issue that I wanted to touch base on, and this kind of goes back to the prior segment when we were talking about grocery stores and people hoarding, and that's the run on bottled water. Now, Lenny Fucci, who is our chief operator at our water filtration plant, he's been very adamant that there's nothing wrong with our water supply. Our water supply is not affected by this or any other virus whatsoever. Our water is treated. It goes through a process. It's chlorinated. Our water in the city of Hornell is 100% safe. So, there's not really a need to stock up on bottled water if you are living in the city of Hornell or your water is supplied by the city. So I
if I could stop you there, Mayor Buckley, it's not just Hornell that uses Hornell water. Could you list off? Yeah,
correct. It's there's the village of North Hornell is on the city water, and not the entire town of Hornellsville, but certain parts of Hornellsville, certain residents are on city water as well. So anyone on city water, you're fine. There's not a need to go and stock up on bottled water. You can just turn on your tap, turn on the spigot. Our water is fine. I drink it every day. No need for bottled water. But those are some of the things that we're doing. One of the other things that was brought up at the meeting, and this is something that the police chief is really recommending, is implementing a curfew in the city of Hornell. And in the curfew, and we're looking into doing that, Brian. We haven't gotten there yet, but if we do, it'll be for those school age individuals that would be under 18 years of old. So it wouldn't be across the board for adults. Although the city of Binghamton just implemented that. I saw it on the news last night. They implemented, I believe, a citywide curfew for all residents. We're not recommending that at this time, but we are asking parents, now that school is out, try to keep your kids home. Don't let them, just run around the streets. This isn't summer vacation. They're off from school for a reason, and it's not because, of summertime. So we want to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. We want to, again, try to flatten that curve, try to, limit those one-on-one interactions as best that we can to protect our community members. One of the other things, Brian, that we really need to talk about is all the businesses that are closed down. I have been in contact pretty much nonstop over the last several days with our state representatives, with Senator Tom O'Mara, Assemblywoman Marjorie Burns, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. I've got a call coming up with Congressman Reed later this week. I've been in touch with his office already about what are the plans out there, and there are many things being thrown out there right now at the state level and especially from the federal level about some kind of rescue or aid to those small and mid-sized businesses that are closing their doors and those employees that have been put out of work. A lot of these employees live paycheck to paycheck, and my concern is, I don't want some of these businesses to close their doors only to never open them again. So, it's up to the feds and the state reps to really, start putting politics and partisanship aside and come up with some sort of plan to bridge these small businesses and their employees, so they have a landing pad on the other end, because we can't just force them to close their doors and just hang them out to dry. We need to, that's where the federal government and the state government really needs to step up to the plate and take care of these people.
We've been talking with Hornell Mayor John Buckley. Down to the last 60 seconds. Any final thoughts, Mayor?
Yeah, just again, it's a crazy world out there right now. It's like nothing we've ever experienced. But I urge people just to stay calm. Stay calm. Think about your neighbors. Don't go to the grocery store and grab everything. It's not the Cold War. We're not stocking the bunker down in the basement. This will come to pass. It really will. We'll get there, but we gotta keep level heads about us, Brian. We really do, and I worry about, obviously there's a concern about the virus itself, but I worry about the seniors and the people that can't get to the grocery stores, and when they finally do, there's nothing, they can't get the items that they need, even on the pharmaceutical side, the over-the-counter Tylenols and that sort of thing. So I'm just asking you to just buy what you need, but don't hoard everything, and really just kind of look out for your neighbors.
With that, we have to leave it. Mayor John Buckley, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Brian.